Okay, here's an aftermarket replacement water sensor for the water separator on a 2015 and other Dodge Ram 2500 6.7 Cummins diesel. The one that was on there I think was probably aftermarket as well. It looked like whoever had changed that filter in the past perhaps did so without unplugging it and twisted the wires repeatedly. When I first got it, it was one of them was about busted and the other was pretty damaged. The last time I changed it, just taking it off as you're supposed to, disconnecting it, the wire just broke. And I bought this a while ago and I have not put it on, and I'm changing my filter today, so I thought I'd do that real quick, show you. And for those of you that aren't familiar with fuel filters on these diesels, you got one under the hood there, that's right here. This canister that you change a cartridge in, that's your actual filter. And then towards the back of the vehicle, you got this canister, and that's above your drive shaft in front of the rear axle. Underneath here, right up there, just almost straight above. And you open up that stopcock, drain it out, take that off typically, and that comes off by itself. Drains a good majority of the fuel out. I usually try to hook some sort of tubing to that to drain as much into a pan instead of getting it all over everything. You can see I got a little on the drive shaft here, but on the new one, I did wipe a little oil on the gasket. I went with the full synthetic 30 weight. It's just what I had handy. So I'm going to pull that one off, put the new one on, plug it in, and be done, and that's it. I only have one hand here, so I'm not going to show you taking it off. It's already loose. So that water sensor is in the bottom of your filter. This canister is the filter. Mine, it's just an entire assembly. Some I realize have a replaceable cartridge inside. This is a complete canister. And the lighting has gotten really bad. So the lighting got really bad under there. So I'm going to show you this real quick out here. I got this special wrench. It's like $6 or something on Amazon. They're readily available. That's the best way to get this thing off without boogering it up. It's not necessary. You could put a channel lock on there, a crescent wrench, but that's a perfect fit. And you need to unplug this first, then unplug that. Then you need to, slide this over that end that you unplugged, up the wire. Well, there's another nugget for you. The aftermarket Dorman part is not fitting in my custom tool very well. It is fitting, but I got to jam it on there. Anyways, and then you screw it on. The filter comes with, this is a canister. It's like that. It comes with a gasket, but that new part had a gasket on it already. Do this in advance by hand real quick, and then I'll snug it with the wrench. That's crazy. That it fit the other part so perfectly, that wrench, and it's really snug on this one. I think I can still, make it work. But so again, the issue is people don't unplug this wire, and then they twist this off, or try to, and then you're putting a lot of torque on these wires, and they get just, ruined over time. And that's one of the deals. So typically, you got your on-off on here. You can drain it while it's still in the vehicle, drain the fuel out of it somewhat, close that back, take this off, then take your canister off. But as I was removing this water sensor out of the existing one on the vehicle, the whole canister was turning, so it's pretty on there. So I figured I better show you this now, because I couldn't demonstrate getting that off because the whole thing is coming off as a unit, which it typically does not do. Usually the filter is a little more stubborn to get off, and this cracks loose pretty easy. So either I over-snugged it last time, or I don't know. Over-snug this, under-snug that, I don't know. But it's coming off as a unit. So then you put that back on, thread it on there just like an oil filter, plug this in, and you're good to go. A lot of comments I've read about these aftermarket ones, I typically, with the one that was on there, if I was driving in heavy rain, it would always tell me there was moisture in my fuel. And I knew there wasn't. Typically what you do if there was, you'd get out and try to open this, close it, let the water out if there is truly some water in there. But I know it was very consistent with raining. And no rain wasn't getting into my filler cap or anything. Or it just was sensitive. And people had commented about this. I've read quite a bit. Some guys said the solution to that could be put some dielectric grease on there, that perhaps moisture is getting in there and tricking it into thinking that there is moisture in the fuel, when in fact there may not be. So I don't know how well this aftermarket one will work compared to the OEM. I'm taking a shot on it. It's considerably cheaper. I buy fuel at very busy gas stations typically that are reputable and have a quality product, at least from my experience, or that's what I've been brainwashed anyways. So I don't worry a lot about that. If you're driving out in rural areas and you stop at some gas station that doesn't go through a lot of fuel, you know, that could be more of a real concern for you, I would imagine. But anyways, we'll pop this thing on. I think the light got a little better. A cloud went over the sun and I couldn't see anything under the truck, but it's back out. And that did fit on there really snug, and I was able to snug it down and until I heard felt the gasket compress considerably, and it should be more than sufficient. So we'll peel that off the thing. I'm going to do a little dab of oil on the gasket underneath there. You know, you got to get just like an oil filter, a little oil on there, and put this on. And a little note, if you don't take that stopcock all the way out, as soon as you crack that canister and let some air in, it'll start draining some more, and it can be messy. So put a pan down and something to protect if you're doing it in the driveway or whatever, and you don't want diesel fuel everywhere. I'm just letting that drain a little bit more, and then I'll pull it off the rest of the way. Like I said, usually I pull that sensor out and it drains quite a bit, and then when you take the canister off, more will drain as you turn it sideways to finagle it out of there, of course, but it's for the most part empty. It's just when I tried taking the sensor out this time, the whole canister came loose. I started hand turning it and it started draining again, so just beware of that. A word of caution, a lot of times when that gas, the way mine's set up anyways, that thing drains directly down onto the drive shaft, and it sprinkles in every direction off of there. So I do hook a tube up to the end of that stopcock before opening it up. Let that as much as I can drain, but inevitably you're going to get some gas. You see it on my exhaust where it's shiny now, where I wiped off the drive shaft, all here where I wiped it off. So protect your eyes for sure, because that's a spot that's going to get you. And then also it likes to work its way down your arm and all that, so gloves and all that's a good idea. Anyways, carry on. I hand crank that on with both hands, give it a good snugging. Then I'm going to disconnect this old, kind of need both hands. You gotta push in on a little pin here, which maybe I can show you better on the new one. There's a pin here to release. You push in and then it just pulls right out. I'm having trouble doing it lefty. Let me try righty, maybe I can. So the old wiring after it came out, little thumb release there, and then just two pins and it just pops out. And this is the culprit here, what went wrong. These were suspect when I first got the truck, and last time I changed it, one was already disconnected and the other one was well on its way, so time to replace. Get in there. I'm gonna have to rearrange myself here. So just pushing that in with my thumb, and it just pulls right out. And then put the new one back in, and we should be good to go. I'm sure I'll get some erroneous water and fuel messages like a lot of people. I didn't have any dielectric grease handy. I will put a dab on there in the future. But that's pretty much it. This video was really just to show you that water sensor for anyone that was trying to figure out what that was all about if it's new to you. Most guys that have diesel trucks and stuff and do their own work are well aware, but this is for those that are not aware. And I did not show the change of the front filter because, again, I was just focusing on this. And there's lots of videos out there. I'm not trying to compete with anybody with videos. I'm just trying to supplement information. And I was doing this, so I thought I'd share it real quick. Hopefully it's helpful to some people. Thanks for watching.